Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Zenitsu, and you're listening to the Digi Talks podcast, the show that covers various topics from news to meta developments and everything in between for the fine folks who love the Digimon trading card game. Just as a quick reminder, I do stream this live over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, and it's also uploaded under the YouTube channel of Zenitsu, as well as being on various podcasting platforms like Spotify for your viewing and listening pleasure. Today, I'm with my co-host, Teddy, again, and we're going to be talking about just the sheer amount of, news and information that Bandai decided to drop on us, as well as our thoughts on Bandai premium products, promos, and their distribution and overall impact on the English meta. So, normally we would go over some of the meta talks right now, but I believe there isn't really any new developments in the meta. The last thing that we had for BT13 was the core TCG regional. That was 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think two and a half.
Yeah. And then we're going to have Play TCG is coming up on the 2nd. And then we're going to have one more after that with Top Cut. And then BT13 is officially over. We're going to be going into BT14. And there's only one North American regional for BT14, which is an in-person regional in Los Angeles. And Core TCG is going to be hosting that. So we at least get one event, kind of.
Kind of. That's I like the caveat. Kind of.
Yeah, so most of the data we're probably going to be looking at is going to be based off of the, I think, Latin American and Oceania and European stuff, because they get more exposure into competitive BT14 than we do. Almost all of our online BT14 events is Ultimate Cups, which that holds borderline zero relevant data for us, especially if we're planning on going to nationals, like myself, which we did get a little bit more national news. So I guess that would be a good place to start, is the national news. Well, we already knew when it was going to be. It was going to be, for North America, it's going to be on January 27th and 28th. Core TCG is actually not going to be running it this time. It is PPG. I thought it was going to be Core TCG, considering it's going to be in the LA Convention Center like it was last year. They have all of the pre-registration dates already up. You can't register yet, but they have when you're able to, for both who was able to get their invite, so to speak, and who wasn't. So pay attention to those dates. I think I do have those dates up.
Oh yeah, let's see. They are November 2nd for the people who. This is for championship. No, this isn't. Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah, because they
So November
changed
2nd is the
nationals
first
to
one.
championship for whatever reason.
So pre-registration is November 2nd. So everybody for TCG Plus is required. The NH invitee priority registration is the 9th. So November 9th through the 20th. That's your for the people that got their invitees, and then everybody else 21st and onward.
Yeah. So it's cool that they have separate registration windows, so that way if you did earn your invite, you have a period of time to be able to register without any worry of your spot being taken, because I believe it is going to be a capped event at, what? I don't even remember what the cap was, but I believe it's 11 round cap event, whatever that number is.
1024, no?
Something like that, yeah.
Pretty sure it's 1024 usually, but I could be wrong too. Don't take my thing for that.
And then as far as participation prizes, we have the prize breakdown structure in terms of actual cards that we're getting. So the prize breakdown structure is you get a participation stuff, then it goes top 256, 128, top 32, top 16, the usual stuff. Really, you want to be in that top 16, because that's when you get all of the good stuff. Top 32, you get a playmat, But at top 16, you get a trophy card, which that's where the real money's at.
Yeah, and they're beautiful too.
And then first and second place, they do get a airfare and hotel invite to Worlds, which is kind of dope. I don't think we have where Worlds is gonna be, but the fact that first and second basically get a free vacation is definitely nice. But in terms of like what we're gonna be getting in terms of like prizes, it's gonna be Event Pack 5 and then the Championship Tamer Pack. We already know what's in Event Pack 5. Event Pack 5 is pretty okay. The big stuff is from the Championship Tamer Pack, which is all new alt arts, except for Royal Knights of the Purge. That's not a new alt art. I actually don't know if Lugamon or High Commandramon is a new alt art or not. Maybe these aren't all new alt arts, but either way, they're alt arts of BT10 Sunflowmon, BT12 Agunimon, BT11 Vidramon, BT11 Shoutmon Cross 3, BT12 Geogreymon, Royal Knights of the Purge, BT14 High Commandramon, and BT14 Lugarmon. So,
I think they actually are new. They are actually, yes.
Okay,
They have not been shown anywhere else from what I'm seeing here.
That's cool. Especially the two BT14 cards, because we're just about to get that set. Those are definitely going to be really hot products. And then just all of these cards that they showed are pretty playable cards for their respective decks. I think all of these were pretty solid picks. More so Sunflowmon, just because like Bloomlord has some incredible legs. And Geogreymon, it being the BT12 one and not the BT13 one, definitely was really smart. I mean, granted, they have the art, so it could have been any Geogreymon they wanted it to be.
That's true, yeah.
So, yes. So maybe them changing it to BT, maybe it was originally supposed to be BT13, then the limitation happened, and now they changed it back to 12. Who knows? But anyway, I think that the championship cards are pretty decent. And then the, like, top 32 gets the gold set, which is just the security rookies. Just in gold. That's it.
Meh. They look nice. That's all.
Yeah, they look nice. They haven't proven themselves to be that great of cards, where we currently are in the meta, but they're solid.
One day, maybe.
But yeah. So moving on to the next thing on the list in terms of news. This one's going to be really quick because there really wasn't anything to it. But we got a new Digimon TCG project announced. They're trying to be really cryptic about it. I'm not even going to be playing the mind guessing game on what the heck this possibly is. Some people are trying to decrypt and decode like the extra word that is like after Digimon because, you know, they blurred it out or whatever, and they're trying to like do some forensics work on figuring out what it is. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to be cool or interesting. And like, I'm not going to try to sit here and speculate. Some people think it's going to be an online client. Some people think it's going to be a webcomic. Some people think it's going to be an anime. I don't know. And frankly, as horrible as this is about to sound, I kind of just don't care about the guessing game. We'll get it when we get it, and it'll be whatever it's going to be. I'm keeping my expectations very whelmed, so that way I'm not going to be overly upset about the fact that I guessed something wrong and I wanted it to be something when I don't know what it is to begin with.
Yeah, I'm on the same game. It's fun to speculate, but there's really nothing to go off of besides cryptic words that are in a 30-second trailer or something of that nature.
Yeah, they do show a new Digimon though.
They do. The Digimon, the design looks really cool. Like that, and then what we see of the Mega, the face, it looks pretty dope. So very excited to see what this line looks like and what it does. We do know that it is based on the TCG, so that's the only real bit of information, basically because of the image showing the cards. But other than that, that doesn't mean anything. It could be anything. So.
Yep. Then over in Japan land, we got EX6 information announced, in which we knew it was going to be Demon Lord focused, but we know more specifically it is going to be Angels and Demons. And then we did get like a little breakdown like we usually do on some of the rest of the cards. It's cool that Mastimon is going to get supported. It only makes sense because she's literally half angel, half demon kind of a thing with Lady Devimon. So that's going to be really fun and interesting. They're going to be using, I don't know if they're going to be using all 7 Demon Lords. I kind of hope they are. It's going to have the 3 Great Angels as well, because, you know, angels versus demons. And we know 0 cards from it as of right now. They just started with BT16 spoilers. We got the first tricolor card. We got the first secret rare of BT16. But that's going to be a long ways wait for us, which is going to suck, but that's just how it is.
At least it's a banger card to show off. The very first card they show off, and it's the 3-color level 6 secret rare, and it's Magnamon X. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, with basically like overloaded on gold Digizoid versus his chrome Digizoid. So
Yeah,
like it's just a new form, like a super Magna X form. It's kind of cool. I think the card is just okay. Obviously I don't have anything like, I don't know anything else in the set that's going to support it to make the card insanely good, like way better than it already sounds. But I have high hopes that BT16 is going to be a pretty fun and interesting set. BT16 is supposed to be based on the movie, so it's going to be O2 themed, which is nice, and then it's going to have some more Seeker stuff, so maybe we're going to be finally getting Fenrir Lugamon Takami Kazuchi. So, and the Pulsemon Tamer is already confirmed to be in there along with the Pulsemon line. So we'll just have to see how that pans out.
And how it works with the deck.
Yeah, but right now they just are, they're not even done with double Typhoon spoilers because we still have the option.
Yeah, there's still one more. That's basically it. And then if they're going to put anything else in any extra little goodies, because it's supposed to be an advanced deck, and usually they put little goodies and stuff like that.
We already know what the sleeves look like. It's basically like Terriermon on top, Lotmon on the bottom. It's a nice looking sleeve.
They look nice.
And then
usually they put a little bit more than that. They put like promo cards or reprints, pretty cards. If we're going by the old one, the old advanced deck, the Beelzemon one.
Yeah, I don't know what other extra goodies, if there are going to be any. If they don't, that's going to be a huge step down, because just already looking at the new cards from the advanced deck, this is going to be a very awkward advanced deck. It's nowhere going to be as high as Beelzemon. It is a fan favorite, and they are trying to do like what the title says, double Typhoon, Terriermon and Lotmon themed, but the Terriermon cards severely outshine the entirety of the deck, and the deck feels just like a better starter deck, where starter decks usually have 2 themes that it's trying to fight itself with and try to make work at the same time, and unfortunately that type of mentality seemed to have leaked in here, where the deck isn't a unified, cohesive piece, and it's just 2 individual things that are just inside of one package. And I think the Terriermon stuff is significantly better than anything that the Lotmon and the Alliance stuff is doing. Like, the deck just screams, hey, take all of the Alliance crap out and just throw more good Terriermon support in. And I think, like, that's where the true power of the deck is going to be, because of just where the good cards are.
Yeah, and even like the good cards, like at best it would be like a tier 2 like stun deck. It really wouldn't be anything crazy good from what I've seen. Now maybe somebody finds a way to break it. We don't know. We don't have the cards. We don't know. So there's always somebody that comes up with something crazy that maybe changes my mind. But there isn't anything from this that I'm like, wow, that's extremely insane. Besides the ace, I really like the ace card a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone looked at the level 5 Rapid Bond and is just like, oh, it's a cyborg in black. Cool, more Machine Germon support.
Machine Germon support. That's it.
Like when that, yeah, like when that's your takeaway off of a new Terriermon based deck is announced, like, you know you're not in a good spot when people are thinking about where to not use the
Yeah,
cards.
where to use it anything other than the deck it's supposed to be used in, or the intentional design, I
E-
should say.
yeah. Um, And like I do think that Mega Gargamon Ace, just even as a standalone card, is a
Really strong.
absolutely insanely good card. Even just the Terriermon just is another pretty good generic card. The Henry lets you biomerge, which is nice, but the only problem is we don't have another good Mega Gargamon to pair it up
Yeah,
with. Like the deck as a whole, I feel like has some good ideas. It just nothing seems like it's quite there yet. And unfortunately, based on the sets that we currently have knowledge of, being BT 16 and EX6, we're not going to be getting support for the deck, or there's a high chance we're not getting support for the deck, which is pretty unfortunate because that's exactly what the deck needs, is more support. And not for the Alliance crap, for the Terriermon stuff.
as cute as Alliance is, it doesn't function well in this game. It just doesn't.
Well, I
It
mean, you have like Lugamon that like yeah, my tamer just gives me alliance, which pushes my overall damage output, and because I'm purple, I could spawn extra bodies for free. So it's like I think like where alliance works is just not inside of green, and it's with other colors. I
yeah, it's I'm okay with it. I think Alliance as a mechanic is okay, but you need to be able to like with Alliance you either are abusing it or you're like not doing anything with it. That's why like Fenrir Lugamon does so much because you abuse it. You don't just like use it here and there. You are like, yes, I am really using the Alliance mechanic because I can just spit a bunch of level fours. Whereas like this is really what you're spitting out a level three, and then you swing, get 1,000 extra DP because if you don't have a memory setter, you just get choked to one almost always, unless you have the new Henry Tamer. But the opponent has to have a Digimon on the board so they can play around it by just hiding in the back and then choke you to one. It's like there's just too many things that need to go right that make me not like what I'm seeing with it.
Yeah, that's why like I think based on its design, because of the Mega Gargamon being literally the best card in the whole deck, like it really wants you to build it in a very specific way that's just not alliance focused at all. Because like he could the crazy thing about that card is he could digivolve off of the level 4 rapid bonds,
Yeah,
which is
crazy.
really strong because we have 2 gold rapid bonds in level 4, and armor purge makes it so that they're harder to remove. Granted, if you're able to bounce them, the point is mute anyway, just because you have ways to bypass armor purge. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. There is the checks and balances to it, but that's just a quick rundown on our thoughts on the double typhoon. I think it's a good idea, just it was not very well executed, and I really hope it comes with extra goodies like extra promos like Beelzemon did, because if it doesn't, that is not only just a huge downgrade in terms of deck quality, but a downgrade in terms of product quality when this is supposed to be the premier product.
Yeah, this is supposed to be your like, okay, I've been playing Digimon for a bit. I want to take a, dip my toes in competitive. This is like supposed to be the product. Like, hey, you want to play slightly more competitive? Here's a deck that you can play out the box. That's the appeal of the advanced decks. And this definitely does not feel anywhere near as good as the Beelzemon one,
Yeah.
especially if it doesn't get the extra stuff.
So part of it also is like where Alliance is coming from. I feel like when like you look at Lugamon and the Tamer AG is giving the deck Alliance by just allowing you to throw it underneath your main stack. With green, everything needs to have Alliance, otherwise it just feels really awkward, which is why like the new Lotmon is supposed to give Alliance. But I don't think like just the way Alliance is being distributed and how it's supposed to be used, I don't think it's nearly effective enough. So like it's a good product that just has some problems with it that's going to be keeping the deck back, unfortunately, because like I can't sit there and say like, hey, I think this is going to be competitive in the same meta that Apocalypse Mon is, and the same meta that like all of the other insanely strong purple decks like Lugamon, um, Metal Garurumon, and some of the other like there's just better decks. I think if there's good cards, there's just better decks.
But yeah, it's interesting. I hope it should be fine. I think it's going to be fine. It's not a big deal. Um, Hopefully we keep it going.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the next alliance deck is going to be. And like whenever they do end up revisiting Tamers, now we need a biomerge Rika just to be able to have the
Yeah.
Trinity. I think that would be pretty cool. We don't know when they're gonna visit Tamers next. Maybe Rika is the next advanced deck. Granted, Double Typhoon was voted on. It just so happens to be a coincidence that Henry is also in the same vein as or same season as Beelzemon with I and Mako. So that's just a coincidence based on popularity. But Tamers is already a pretty popular thing. So maybe that would help push the Sakuyamon deck forward is with the advanced deck, just because right now it's not really doing much.
Yeah, it's so weird because like Sakuyamon has like all the stuff that could make it strong, but it just isn't there because it needs so much. And you're also relying on like both the stack and having the options necessary to do it. So it's like you need so much to go right. And I don't know. I don't know what the deck needs, I guess, to
It
get
needs a
better.
it needs a Beelstar, to be honest. It needs like a Beelstar type strategy where it gives you alternative ways to be able to use the options that are not in your hand. Um so like, oh, I can evolve
Yeah,
into a
I like that.
Sakuyamon, use a plugin in my trash, or based on their current trend with security, which I really hate, by the way, look at your security and use a plugin in your security. Like, I think, like, based on how they worded why they hit Geo Greymon, they really need to not do what Yellow currently is trying to do because they
Yeah,
admitted that
look,
that's kind of broken. And
just
yeah, it's just it's an extra resource nobody else has access at that can give them a very clear unfair advantage on top of extra synergies being able to trigger because of how they're worded. Like it's using your security to do stuff is very dangerous outside of just throw cards in your security and hope there's a good option or tamer in there.
for me, I don't mind if they're using the stuff from security if it's from random. Like you just like something random from your security, not like you grab it, look at it, be like, okay, I want this. That to me is not, that's too far. The moment you can look and get information is too much. I think if it's like random pure RNG, then fine. What that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Uh, I just don't like the idea of just being able to continuously look, put whatever you want in security, and then take out cards you want. But that's where yellow leans a little too far
Yeah.
in my eyes.
And I have no idea if they're actually going to end up supporting Double Typhoon in BT16. I have not seen the movie yet. At this current time, the movie hasn't even been aired in English. It has been
Nope.
aired in Japan, but
Yep.
I haven't looked at any reviews to know if Terriermon's even a character inside of that. I don't think he is,
I doubt it.
just because of where the promos are. Like, the promos gave us a good indication on what the core cast is, and it's not on Willis. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
there's, I mean, granted, Gold Magnamon, like Super Gold Magnamon, isn't a. He's most likely not in the movie either. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I could be completely wrong. I'll see it when it airs in English, and then I'll come back to this and be like, okay, now I understand why that card was the secret rare. But I don't have that information yet, so
Yeah. So this is pure speculation. It, it could happen, but we don't know. Hopefully something cool happens and we get some good cards. I don't know. I doubt that we'll get support for SD17, unfortunately. I just think there's nothing telling us that there will be. But you never know. They could surprise us with some random cards here and there.
Yeah, because starter decks 15 and 16 felt also like really out of place as well, just because there's zero support for the Dragon of Courage deck. Absolutely zero. You could say that BT14 has the Agumon stuff, but that's red Agumon, and now you're trying to play it with black Agumon, and like it. I don't think that was the intended purpose. I literally just think that they just did it just to do it, and they knew very well that this being a starter deck, it wasn't actually supposed to be supported. Wolf of Courage is a little bit different because even though in BT14 it doesn't get support, it does get support in BT15 and EX5.
Yeah, EX5 and 15,
More EX5 than BT15 because BT15 is playing with the blue base for Metal Gurumon versus the purple base that the starter deck wants, and then the limitations that were just in place and going to be in effect as of BT14 basically make purple base unplayable. So, well, it doesn't make it unplayable. It just makes it not the preferred option.
Yeah, less optimal. That's really all it is.
But speaking of the movie and promos, they are going to be giving out promos for watching the movie. I'm only going to see it once. So that's going to be interesting to see what I get because I think there's like, 12 of them? Like 12 cards you could pull from the promo pack and you get 3 cards out of the select 12. None of the cards are like absolutely insane as of right now. They definitely seem like they're going to be supporting BT16 way more than Double Typhoon would be. Just because, what are the promos? I had them up for a second. So the promos are basically supporting just new DNA stuff, which we already know in BT16 we're getting Blast DNA, so you could Ace DNA as like a new thing. And
that's gonna be so weird.
Yeah. So you get a new Vmon, Wormmon, Hawkmon, Gatomon, Armadillomon, Patamon, the new movie character, which is Ukomon. Then you get a new Davis, Ken, Yoli, Kari, Cody, TK, and then the new character, Louie. So those are going to be all of the movie promos. And it's really interesting that we're getting these promos before some of the other promos, because we already know that Bandai's not good with promo distribution. And if you're new to the TCG and just new to Bandai games in general, spoiler alert, they're like this with all of their games. So, expect promos to be always a dumb topic when it comes to when we're getting them and where we're getting them. So if right now you don't watch the movie, you're going to be missing out on a whole bunch of promos. And I even think if you do watch the movie, you're going to be missing out on a whole bunch of these promos. So
I was like, even if you watch it, you're still probably going to miss out on a lot of promos.
Yeah, because even if I watch the movie once in English, once in Japanese, I'd only get 6 promo cards out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Also
8, 9,
assuming
10,
you don't get duplicates.
12, 13, 14. Oh, there's 14. My bad. But yeah, that's also assuming that there's no duplicate getting. It baffles me on like why they would do this, because at least like with Vmon and Davis, Ukamon and Louis, they're in the demo decks that are supposed to be coming out with BT14, and that's where we also are going to get the Imperial Dramon Ace promo, which is right now the only way you could have gotten that card was by going to a convention. Yep. So like it really boggles my mind on just how inaccessible some of these promo cards are until like they're more widely distributed. Because I was thinking, like, we got that announcement about promo legality for the demo deck cards being legal 1 week after BT14's release.
So weird.
But the other thing is, if all of these movie promos, except for the Vmon, Davis, Ukamon, and Louis, if those are the only ones that are actually going to be widely available, what about the others? Like, are the others basically going to fit into that survive category where they are cards, but they're not actually tournament legal because nobody reasonably has them.
And no one can get them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think they should stop doing promos or do them better. It's one or the other. Like that the good thing is that the promos aren't amazing. Like they're not like, oh my god, these are gonna make or break my decks. Like thank God they're not like that good. But some of them are useful, and I could see them being good. So I don't know why.
I think the VMon is actually very relevant because there's a lot of problems with Imperial, and one of them is the efficiency. And that deck, like, it seems like they're trying to up the efficiency, and VMon is a really good step, allowing you to digivolve into a free for a reduced cost of 1. So this way you could, like, raise this VMon, move it out, X VMon for 1, play Stingmon for 3, DNA, somehow.
I was like,
It's still awkward and it's still kind of clunky and needs some sort of extra setup.
I think it's okay. It's just it's not great. It's not like, oh my god, this out of nowhere makes my deck insanely good. That's what I mean. Like it doesn't out of nowhere make the Imperial Dramon deck tier 1. Like
No.
that's what I'm saying with the promos. Like none of them are like, holy shit, this is the best. Now my deck is good.
Yeah,
So
and then the majority,
at least they're not that great.
yeah, and then the majority of all of the other promos are supporting cards we don't have yet because it's just like, oh yeah, you get to search for a 2-color like card in a color pairing we don't have in the game because it's going to be coming out with BT16.
BT16.
Like Black Armadillomon, it's just like that card's basically going to be useless until BT16.
Yep, and we won't see that for a long time.
Yeah,
So,
like I do like the design of these new tamers where they at least have an on-play effect to let you play their respective Digimon for free. I think like the digivolving aspect is completely awful about all of these promos. And then they have a pretty okay memory generation. It's nothing we haven't really seen before. Because it's just, oh, if I have this on my field, which I could have raised and set that up, then I get a gain 1 memory, hoopy doopy doo. But it's more of the fact that, like, oh, this is a 3-cost tamer that plays a 3-cost Digimon. That's good value.
yeah, I'm not saying they're definitely solid and they help, but they don't help enough to warrant them being like these incredibly, most likely going to be expensive promos for a while, unless they make a way that they can be widely available.
Which they did in the form of the Bandai Premium product, which I have my own issues with Bandai Premium products as a whole.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms that they are just. It's I have such a bad taste with Bandai Premium products.
Yeah, so these promos are going to be more. I'm not even going to say widely distributed, just because not everyone buys the Bandai Premium stuff and not everyone has access at that because they have usually pretty short pre-order windows. And then, like, the time frame in which you actually get them is astronomically stupid. So, like, I think, like, the Bandai Premium products we're talking about more specifically is the Adventure O2 The Beginning set. So you get nice alt arts of all of the promos that we were just talking about. You get a nice Imperial Dramon playmat, some egg sleeves, some deck sleeves, and a nice deck box. That's all going to cost you $80. All of the promos you get 2 copies of, so that's at least not terrible. In terms of getting a whole bunch of promos all at once. The only problem is pre-order started on October 16th of 2023. You're not going to be getting this product until June of 2024. That is 8 months later. So cards that we're trying to get now will be more accessible 8 months later, which granted 8 months later means we're going to be hitting that BT16 time when these cards are more needed, but the fact that we're getting them now doesn't paint it in a good light on what the heck is going on with this. Like, it makes everything look stupid. And all Bandai Premium products are like this, where it's just like, oh, I'm going to pre-order this now, get it 8 months later, and then everything is going to be irrelevant, but the product is going to be a nice looking product nonetheless. I stopped ordering from Bandai Premium because of this. I hate waiting 8 months for things that I paid right now and want right now because it's relevant right now.
It is the worst to me. Honestly, it is like the worst system for a product because, like you said, you pay $80. Most of the time, people buy multiple, so I think they only allow you to buy two of each usually.
No, this one's unlimited.
Okay, so normally like the older ones, they only let you buy two of them. So for what was that one that had? I don't the oh my god, not the most like it was like two or three of them ago, but and I don't know if they continue doing that going forward, but you could only buy two of them, and so you pay $160, and you're probably paying like 170, 180 because tax and things like that for a product you won't receive for at least almost a year, like you said, 7 to 8 months. And yes, the product is very nice. They're always beautiful, and that's the worst part. They're gorgeous cards, and but they're not worth that much. Like I don't think they're worth $80 for you to be waiting 8 months for cards that are not going to be playable. Thankfully, these cards will probably be more playable, just because they're coming out when they're supposed to be used intentionally, I assume. But it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like, oh, I'm paying for this now in October, and they're not going to be usable until, or well, they'll be usable, but they won't be. You won't see them until way back then. And then even then, how much of the did they say how many of the quantities of the cards you're going to get in each of
Yeah,
them?
you're getting two with this one. It's
Okay,
it's different
so
per product. Not all the time it's two.
that's
Sometimes
why I
it's a
was
full
like,
playset.
sometimes
Sometimes it's just a single copy. So it forces you to buy it multiple times if you want a playset of all of those cards, which that does kind of suck because now you're over ordering on stuff you don't need.
it feels awful because you're spending, like, for example, like this one, you would need to buy two. That's $160, 180 around that ballpark. And yes, this looks very nice. The sleeves are very nice.
Well, I mean,
The
Bandai
cart,
sleeves are garbage, but they always look nice.
well, they look nice, but they feel like ass. Two different things. Um, they look nice. Everything looks good, and the box themselves is actually quite nice. Usually, they're usually not that bad, or they're usually pretty good quality. I have a few of them over in my room over there, and it sucks because this product is nice. Like, it's very nice, and they look very good. But it just is in the shell of this Bandai Premium product shit, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Like,
So if anyone's actually curious on why they do this, where it's just like, we're going to take pre-orders right now for the thing that's coming out 8 months down the line when everything around it is hot now. One, it's marketing. They're trying to capitalize on all of the attention that's going on right now, in order to make the sales. And then two, they don't actually have anything made. So all of this is a print to order type product. So everything there is no extra. There is no overflow. It is you put in that order, that is exactly what we're going to be making. So they take this pre-order window to gauge how much they're going to be making, and then the 8 months is the actual production, like production pipeline time. So it's just like, okay, yes, we need to print the cards, we need to print this many sheets of the cards, cut them, package them, we need to do it this many times. Like that is their production time, and shipping time is included in that as well. So like the thing that they could do to alleviate a lot of like that downtime and that issue is they could start doing production now. Like, why do I have to, or why do you, Bandai, have to wait until you have some numbers in order to start printing when you could just pre-print, and then that could reduce the amount of time that we're waiting, probably by at least a month or two. Like, let's just say their average Bandai Premium product sells 10,000 units. Okay, cool. They should pre-print 5,000 units, knowing that they're probably going to hit that 10,000 units. So that way, they only need to print 5,000 more units, which will take significantly less time than the 10,000. So, like, they could be smarter and more efficient on how they're doing it to cut down on the downtime in between pre-order and actual delivery date.
Thing is, like, I don't know. I find it so hard to believe that it takes that much time and like to do this. Like it, I don't know. I don't know anything about the logistics of that stuff, so I take none of my words with any sort of validity whatsoever. But it boggles my mind that you pre-order, so they give you the time frame for the pre-order. You do the pre-order. Once they close it, boom, that's it. They already know the number of what they need to print.
Yes.
So my understanding is the moment that happens, boom, they either do they go immediately into production of it, and that doesn't that if that's the case, that kind of
Yes.
bugs me.
So
that takes that long to get it to that point.
I will say, coming from the other side of the business perspective, it actually does take that long. Like usually companies, when they print promos more specifically, they do, I mean, Bandai has their own in-house printing company that they use for themselves, so that solves a lot of the communication lag there. But usually you will tell them, hey, I need you to print this amount, send me the proofs. Cool, here's the proofs, let me double check the proofs. We already know Bandai doesn't do that, so we'll just skip that step and say, hey, here's the proofs. Cool, go ahead and start printing them. Then they need to print all of the other stuff as well. So it's more than just the cards. Printing the cards doesn't take that much time, but it's printing the other stuff and making all of that, packaging it, and then shipping. It does take a little bit more time than people think. Which is why, if Bandai was smart, they should already be up and ahead of, that production cycle. But I guess because they don't know exactly how much to print, that's why they hold off, and that's why everything takes so long. But that's why everything feels kind of shitty, and it just feels really bad, in my perspective. I mean, people are going to be buying the Bandai Premium stuff mostly just to try to flip anyway, just because that's been the trend. It's just like, oh, this is the Bandai Premium version of these cards. Got it. So that because they're fancy alt arts or fancy art, exclusive art, whatever version of the card, it's going to sell for more than your normal version. So
yeah, exactly.
That's people are just trying to flip the product. That's all it is. People are just trying to flip it.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just, I feel like there's a disconnect somewhere along that line. That 8 months span of time, there has to be a massive disconnect because no.
I mean, this is one of their like playing it safe but too safe tactics. Like Bandai's not stupid 100% of the time. I will say they can make some pretty dumb decisions. But they usually try to play things more on the safe side. And that's like the big trend that I noticed is they want to play it as safe as they possibly can. And this feels like just another, it seems really stupid, but from a business perspective, it's the safest thing that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, Bandai has done that at the expense of the players. They will fuck the players over almost every time.
Oh, it 100% is at the expense of the players to play it as safe as they possibly can.
I was like, they'll do that and just say, sorry, screw you guys. We don't want to spend that money to fast track it or do XYZ. So it sucks on our end because we are the ones that bite the bullet. Literally, we sit there. I mean, I bought most of the Bandai Premium products. This is the only one I haven't, which
I stopped buying them a long time ago.
I like to have at least one of them. I usually try and get one. So unfortunately, this is the one I did miss.
Yeah. So if you want another example of like this, there was a Diaboromon Bandai Premium product for the Diaboromon Ace, which we're getting in BT 14 as a promo,
Yeah,
and that's coming out in November. This
literally
product
we
is
get it
not
next
coming
week.
out until
I was like,
February. So you're
we
getting the
literally start getting
card.
it.
So you're getting the card way too late.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like we literally get BT14 starting next week.
Yeah, and the fact that this
That's
is a Bandai Premium product that has a special version of the card coming out like literally 3 months later, it's not even capitalizing on the hype of the card anymore.
and it's like not even the card isn't even good. Like it's okay. It's not great, but it's not good. So it's like you want to capitalize it as much as humanly possible, and this is the one time that like this they always do this where they don't do it, and it's so weird to me. It boggles my mind that they do that. But it is what it is. I mean, what can we do about it? Like, there's not much we can do, unfortunately.
No,
We just hope they fix it. Maybe they make it better going down in the future. We can complain, send formal complaints. Don't be assholes. Just send formal complaints via the Twitters and things like that, and keep it civil, because you being uncivilized doesn't help at all.
yeah, that's why I like some of their more agnostic designs where like we're not trying to capitalize on the hype of anything. Like I think the Demon Lords binder,
Yeah,
that one was a pretty okay one. I don't care the fact that I bought it in June and I'm getting it in February. I don't care about that just because like I'm getting it mostly because one, it's
the
a
art.
pretty decent product in terms of the amount of cards that you're getting and the binder you're getting, because it's a zip binder that looks pretty nice. It's 3 row, not 4 row. Would have liked 4 row. But the fact that like they can still design decent products and not try to make the hype around the now, I think those are the better types of Bandai Premium products. Don't make the hype now, because it's just going to feel bad when you look at it and it's coming out 8 months down the line. And some
Yeah,
people like that, where it's just like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that I bought this. It's a
yeah,
surprise now.
you get a
Yeah,
gift eight
yeah,
months later that
yeah,
you wasted money on.
you forwarded yourself a gift that's coming out a lot later,
It's
but
super cool if you buy it and then you like plan it for your birthday and it's like, oh my god, who sent this? And it's like, oh, for me.
yeah, but like let's just say you're having a hard time getting the Imperial Dramon Ace promo. You bought the Bandai Premium product thinking you're going to be getting it anywhere near a relevant amount of time. Sadly, unfortunately, that is not going to be the case, and you're going to have to wait in order to get that. And then by that point, when you wanted to play the card, you can't, just because who knows, they could screw up the starter deck, the demo deck distribution, and make the promos a little bit harder than they reasonably should be to get, because they're Bandai and distributors never do things the way that they should. And that goes to the last big point, which is talking about things that we get that are very poorly timed, promos. So I don't know if anyone has actually paid attention to the promos. I pay attention to them just because I kind of somewhat collect cards. I know we kind of talked about that last week with like the different types of players. I do like to collect cards. And I've been paying very close attention to promos. So we are currently being shotgun promos down our throats at rapid speed to try to get us as caught up with Japan as we possibly can. The fact that we're getting like what number is it? Promo 100 and something. We're getting promo 130 before we're even getting promo 91. Like that's pretty sad. The fact that we're getting the newest promos just because of marketing hype before promos that we should have already had in the game, that's it just doesn't look good, and it doesn't sit well with me as a player either, because I would have liked to have some of these promos in a timely manner when they're relevant. Like I think it's I gotta remember the names of the packs because they do it all differently. So the 3rd anniversary survey pack is coming out with BT14 along with the training cards. So the training cards were a thing that we've been waiting for a while. I think Japan had them around their BT14, so it's not like it's that bad that we're getting them for our BT14. But the fact that we're getting the 3rd anniversary survey cards late kind of feels bad. And the 3rd anniversary survey pack is Shagermon, Nightmon, Morphmon, Rust Tyrannomon, Ace, Diabormon, Ace, and Skull Knightmon. Like, the majority of these should have came out way sooner than what they're actually coming out. Like, Shagermon, it would have been nice to have that card a little bit sooner to update the Virus Imperial deck. So, like, I would have liked to see this card personally around, what? Probably BT13, because that's when the other Ace cards that we had, thanks to the fact that they just randomly stuck the Ace starter deck cards as box toppers. Like, that felt really awkward and out of place. Like, the fact that that could have been the Rust Tyrannomon Ace and the Diaboromon Ace might have given them not only just more value from the starter deck Ace cards, making the starter decks more appealing, but, like, still doing the job of introducing us the Ace mechanic while giving us other cards for other decks.
I think I agree. I agree to an extent there. I think this was just very poorly managed, and we don't know. I don't know quite why that's the case, but I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. There's not much we can do about it.
Yeah, like, even at worst, what's another promo? So we're getting the 3rd anniversary update pack in EX5, along with the limited card pack volume 2.
Oh, God, I
So
forgot about that.
yeah, so the 3rd anniversary update pack, that is
Useless.
well, no, that's the one with Saberdramon. That's, like, the most useful card. Like, it would have been nice to have Saberdramon, Dracmon, Bastimon, Destromon, Invalidation Plugin, and Prism Garnet. That could have been a really good BT13 box topper, or, like, it should have been paired up with BT13, considering, like, oh, Destromon, he was a BT11 deck. Bastimon is literally BT13, because that card was supposed to go with the Leopardmon stuff. Same thing with Dracomon, that was supposed to go with Examon. Saberdramon, we just got 2 bird decks, so that would have been good for either of the bird decks, leaving Invalidation Plugin to be kind of the off card, but it's not even that off considering Sakuyamon kind of got an update in EX4. So it's just like, they could plan these promos to come out in a more timely manner that's actually more reasonable versus getting them as late as we currently are, and they just don't matter at all almost. I mean, Saberdramon is the only one that actually will matter at the end of the day compared to all of the other cards, because that card is just super useful, especially since we know we're getting more bird support in BT15. So it's like, it makes things look really awkward. Same thing with the Zubamon, Seadramon, Edamon, Kawagamon, Raremon, and Skull Greymon promos. The fact that we're getting those, I believe, with BT15 as well, it's just like, what's the point? These cards are past their prime. They're useless. Like,
yeah, it sucks.
It would have been
really
nice to get these, like, maybe with EX4, because I don't think EX4 had anything super relevant. So, like, there's smarter ways to be able to release these products, and we already knew these cards were cards because of, Japan giving them spoilers for all of them. So if Bandai just had a tiny bit of foresight and a tiny bit of thought put into where these promos are going to be distributed, like, it could actually make our formats not only just a little bit more unique, but certain cards and certain decks more impactful. And I think that's what we really just wanted, is like, oh, I would have liked these cards to make these decks that I'm playing with, even though they're not tier 1 meta competitive, they're still fun and interesting, and maybe these cards could have affected the environment enough to make that deck even somewhat relevant. Like, I'm not saying any of these cards are going to make them relevant, especially now, but it would have been nice to be like, yeah, that Saberdramon could have done something for both of the bird decks at the time. Destromon definitely could have made Galacticmon a little bit more appealing to play. Um,
Destromon that Destromon did work in JP. Like it actually got a few tops in like major tournaments because of that Destromon. So like it kind of sucks that we won't get that now because they're just gonna fade. Those cards are gonna come out and like you said, like 2 of the cards are gonna be useful in like a few decks, and then the rest of them are gonna be absolutely useless. So
yeah.
it's like
And then we're getting the Digimon Convention 2023 card as a store event pack for Store Event 11, which is the next set of store event stuff. So it's just like, cool, we're getting the convention card, which should have came out in the summer. We're getting it 6 months later in the winter, and that kind of feels weird. And then, like we already mentioned before, with the Imperial Ace promo and all of the movie promos, like we don't have as of right now an alternative way to get those cards, so that's going to put their legality into question, on top of the fact that we already know the legality for some of them. And like it really just causes a lot of confusion. Like I come from Magic, and I still look at Magic, and I'm like, Magic is just shitting stuff out left and right, and there's just too much to follow. And with keeping track of where promos are and how we're getting promos, even right now, it's getting to be a little bit cumbersome, even for somebody who is paying attention actively. Like right now, we're still missing the 3 other Survive characters, and we're still missing the Pulsemon Manga Tamer. Like, those are 4 cards. We have zero idea when they're going to come, and who knows if we're even going to be getting them. But it doesn't matter because they're too late to matter.
yeah, it really does suck because it hampers what could have been essentially. Um, and a lot of times, that's all hypothetical. Maybe they come out and they don't do anything at all, but that's not the point. The point is to give them a chance to happen, and it sucks that we don't get to at least get the chance to innovate and things like that.
Yeah, because Kunamon could have been a pretty interesting card to just play around with for just anything using a green tamer. Floramon could have actually been a card for the plants, fairies, and vegetation deck. Lotmon, literally, we're getting more Lotmon support, so that could have been a pretty fun and interesting card to play around with Suzy. Dracmon actually would have been relevant because
Yeah,
it plays
Pokemon is
with
actually really
Undead
good.
and Dark Animal. Siakomon is just more source, or it's more stunning stuff, so that could have been pretty nice, just having an extra way to stun. And then the Ritsu Tamer, just another good tamer just to have that maybe could have made Pulsemon more viable, especially since we're getting Pulsemon stuff in BT 16. And the fact that we don't even know if we're going to get these cards by BT 16, that's pretty sad. And these are some old promos. These aren't like new recent promos. These are older promos that are almost a year old at this point.
And they're essentially dead. They're going to come out and they're going to be dead. People are going to have them, put them in the binders, and they're going to sit there forever because no one's going to use them.
Yeah, like the fact that we almost got Digimon Con in 2024, when the card says 2023, it's just sad. It is sad to think about that. It's just like, come on. You know what the card is. You know what the card does. You could have released it way earlier. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing with the promos. And like, I know we normally don't try to focus and harp on some of the negative stuff, but like between Bandai Premium products and like all of the promos being distributed in really random and weird ways, it's like, just get some focus. Like, figure out one promo distribution method, stick to that, so that way we as players know what to expect on how to get promos. Because like,
it's that, or give transparency. Just tell us what is happening, why these aren't happening, or why this is happening a certain way. Because right now there's no rhyme or reason as to why the promos are coming or when they're coming.
no.
It's just, oh, we're just throwing it in there. And if they want to give us a reason that we don't have a reason, okay, well, that's a reason. At least you tell us something. But like, give us and then we could just be like, okay, well now we know for sure that they don't care and they'll just throw them anywhere. But like, give us something to work with, like a timeline, something to at least keep us on track with something. Like, it doesn't need to be fleshed out. It doesn't need to be insanely uh, like detailed, but just something. Because right now we're just in this limbo state of, well, I hope we get these promos sometime soon.
Most of the time we don't. But it also impacts how products sell and product longevity, because if you're looking at BT14, BT14 has 3 box toppers. Like, I don't know if anyone actually stopped and thought about that. There's 3 box toppers and a demo deck with BT14. Granted, the demo deck is while supplies last, so that's not going to be always a thing.
I was about to say, yeah.
But
Maybe.
the fact that like BT14 is bloated with extra stuff probably will actually make BT14 a pretty decent selling set, and its longevity might be better because of that. Whereas you look at BT13 and it had an extra box topper, sure, with the ace cards, but because there was only 2 of them and they weren't even that great, it didn't help the product have any extra legs. And right now BT13 on the secondary market is like almost below $60, which for the strength of BT13, that's insane. The fact that that set is so recent and has fallen so quickly shows that like extra goodies sometimes can help propel a set, and that set has some pretty decent lottery cards too. Like, I don't know. Because if you
It's
look
pretty
at
bad.
yeah,
Pretty bad.
because if you look at like some of the other sets, they sell well partially because of some of the other box toppers that come in it, on top of what the lottery card is. And anytime they change the pull ratios to make it the set worse to pull on, and something from the set ends up spiking, that's going to make the set immediately be able to hold value. So, not saying that's a good thing, because usually those sets are awful to pull on, but from a secondary market standpoint and from a desirability standpoint for a store, that's something you got to look at. So, like,
It
having
matters.
these promos
It
be
matters.
shotgun like this isn't helping. I mean, it might, but it's sacrificing the potential for other products.
Yeah, more products that make sense in the eyes of the consumer and in the set as a whole, rather than just saying, oh, well, this promo, we should have given it out 9 months ago. Let's start in this one. And then it doesn't make sense at all with the set coming. So it sucks. It just sucks. We're in a really weird spot with promos and Bandai Premium product, and I kind of hope that something changes and some sort of direction is given, because it really does suck. Because I want to buy the stuff. I want to. Like, I want to give the money, but they give me incentives not to waste the money because of poor business practices.
Yeah, because they've given us promos in so many different ways, between tamer party events, store events, online events, um, box toppers, Bandai Premium. Like, that's already 5 different ways to try to keep track of what promo is going to be coming out when, and it's a lot to, especially the more casual of a player you are, that's a lot to try to keep track of and follow, especially if it's going to enhance a deck that you actually care about. Because like we've seen it before, like, oh, they've made exclusive promos for god Espimon being a
Yeah,
pre-release one. That was the only way you could have gotten that card, was the pre-release. So anyone who didn't participate in the pre-release couldn't get that card. Luckily enough, there was a whole bunch of it floating around the secondary market, to where it really didn't matter a whole lot. But something like Pulsemon, all the way back in BT5, you had to
that card
play
is so
in a
expensive. So
online
expensive.
regional to get that card, and that card at that time gave you a very clear inherent advantage because of what it was doing.
See, I feel like that's why they're so scared to print like promos that are good like that because of that. Because that Pulse was expensive for a long time. Like, and that Pulse was also extremely good for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what they could do aside from the basic things, like actually just put the product in places. Um, and I guess other less like smaller things I guess they could do, but it just it is what it is. There's not we can it's okay to vent, and you can have frustrations like this, and we have these frustrations because we love the game. We want the game to be good. We want it to be better. So
Right. Like
and
I
the
would
game,
have loved using these cards way sooner than what I'm going to, which sucks because I would like A, it could have changed how our format played out, making it more interesting and slightly diverse from Japan's, and B, could have actually had some impact on some of the decks they're trying to double down and enhance with.
yeah, it would be cool. There's a lot of cool stuff like those promos open the avenues for decks that haven't gotten as much love and things like that. And some, yeah, you can say that a lot of them are useless or they don't help that much, but that's not the point. The point is that it breathes a little bit of life into stuff, and some people just want that little bit of life, even for the like casual players and things like that. It it matters. It may not matter to a majority, but it matters.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it does. And like I think like based on how they've been handling promos, it's not going to change and it's not going to get better. I want it to, don't get me wrong. I really do. But like when it comes to promos, this is usually why they try not making them super good. Because I think right now the wisdom training cards are going to be like the next hottest thing, and that's going to make BT14 probably one of the best like sets to have, because that comes as a box topper and you get one of each of the six. I don't know if it's going to be worth buying exactly 4 boxes to get a full playset. I don't know how many boxes are going to be opened. It might be opened on absolute mass, and the training cards might not
I
be worth
think
a lot,
I
like
was
a
like,
whole
I think
lot.
they are going to be opened a lot. BT14 is a pretty hype set.
But I think like stuff like that just gives sets extra value. And looking
And
ahead,
longevity.
yes, it gives them value and it gives them longevity. Like, oh, I don't feel like paying. Like, I'm new to the game. What set should I get? I'll start telling people get BT14
14, man.
because you get the wisdom cards, you get some extra promos. The decks from them are pretty decent. As in terms of both starting place and for reoccurring players, like it's looking to be a very good set because of the added promos. And when sets have good added promos, that makes them more desirable than sets with bad added promos where they're just doing it for fluff and filler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, but as far as to try to swing things around on a more positive note, just because I knew the majority of this episode was going to be more negative, I do think that overall the game is in a pretty good state. I'm, again, really curious to see what the new Digimon product is going to be. I don't think it's going to be a reboot like Dragon Ball Super. That sounds incredibly stupid for anyone who's even thinking that, because Digimon is too new, and Digimon's not that complicated where it needs a reboot. Dragon Ball Super, I don't know if anyone looked at the uh I was gonna say nationals, but their world tour thing. Dragon Ball Super is not listed on any of that. The Super is literally its own separate entity at this point that Bandai almost wants nothing to do with, which is why they're rebooting it. So like I don't think that Digimon is in that bad of a state where it needs that. And I think the
Far
game,
from that.
yeah, the game is continuously growing, and it's still growing with how many new player comments that I'm reading online. And I love reading all of those, even though some of them are pretty silly at times. But it shows that the game's in a good state, and the fact that Bandai wants to make something for the game, specifically for the game, it gives me lots of hope that whatever they're going to be making is going to end up being good. And that's what I would want out of, like, that's the only thing I could want, is something to make the game better.
Oh yeah, I'm on the same boat. I think the game's in a great spot. I have as game itself, I have almost no complaints
Yeah.
about the actual game itself. Product aside is a completely different thing. That has almost nothing to do with the game in terms of the actual playing of the game. It does affect it, but it doesn't really have a lot to do with it. That's a whole separate like complaint, and that's more so for the like the Bandai as a whole rather than the game itself.
Yep. But I
But
think this is a good place to wrap things up, ending on this
I did have
positive
one thing.
note.
Gotta drop the question. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna force a question out in the comments. How does everybody else feel about Bandai Premium product? I would like to know because I feel like I'm in the like minority, like we're in the minority that we don't like it. I don't know why. I've been seeing the sentiment that everybody, like a lot of people like it, which is it's not you're not at fault. You're not bad for liking it. The product is good, but I do want to see some comments and see where everybody's kind of at with that.
No, that's very fair. And I think that's a like a very good question to ask, because I don't know exactly how much these Bandai Premium products are selling for. I know some people are really enthusiastic about them. Some people just buy them to try to flip them. Some people like the product as a whole, as the product. Like, there's different things to like and then different things to not like. So any feedback on what your overall thoughts on promos and Bandai Premium products definitely is always good to see where other people's perspectives are at outside of our own.
Yeah, that was all I wanted to throw in there. Just a little tidbit.
Yep. But with that, I think this is a pretty good ending spot. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and listening. And if you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to support the podcast and my various different channels that the podcast is on by sharing it with others on social media and leaving a rating, review, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever platform you are listening to. Definitely always appreciated and always helps. I want to thank everyone again, and we will see you later.